Welcome to the video. My name is Pushpinder Gill and this is going to be my email address where you can send me your valuable feedback. So today we're going to do quantitative comparison for GRE, that is the Graduate Record Examination. Now if you see the GRE test, if you have given any of the diagnostic tests, so you must have seen that about 20 to 40% of the math section of the quant section comprises of the questions which are quantitative comparison. So almost like half of the test is like quantitative comparison, so you can't afford to skip this question. You can't afford to not have a strategy for these kind of questions, because these kind of questions are a little different. Okay, now let me just explain what does this question have. So this question has a quantity A and it has a quantity B, and these are the four options: option 1, option 2, option 3, option 4. Well, they call ABCD, but let me call it 1, 2, 3, 4. So if you're going to choose option 1, that would mean that quantity A is greater than quantity B, okay, for all the values of the variable which are there. Okay, so that is a must. That is true for all the values. It means it must be true. Okay, so it's not that for one instance it should be true. That means must be true. Second is that quantity B is greater than quantity A, again for all values, and it must be true. The third is that quantity A should be equal to quantity B, and fourth is that, well, the relationship cannot be determined from the information given, but however I would like to restate this point. It says that either A is greater than B for some values, or B is greater than A for some values, or A is equal to B some values. That means that a clear relationship cannot be determined. Any two of these or all three of these satisfy the values. So that is the actual meaning of all the options which are there in the quantitative comparison for the GRE. So I suppose you'll be able to understand it in a better way. Now let's see what are the let's do the steps which you should be doing for quantitative comparison questions. Now there is always a quantity A and there is always a quantity B. Now I would like to state just one step, and I'll just do a question so that you understand it. So what you should be doing is, you should not be following the algebra model completely. Okay, so you should not be following, alright, why this quantity A is greater or why this quantity B is greater. Rather than, you should just be trying to disprove the options, or just trying to get your answer as D or the last option. Now why? Because you will be trying some values where you can get A greater than B. Once you get A greater than B, you should be trying to get B greater than A. That is what you should be doing, trying to use some values to prove the answer. Now let's see and go ahead and see what can we do from these questions. Now let's see, this is the question. Now this is a simple quantitative comparison question. So whenever you see a question, so you have four options, isn't it? Option A, option B, option C, and option D. Now it says that y has to be greater than 1 and x has to be greater than 1, and x is not equal to y. I'm sorry, this is x by y, okay, and this is y by x. Alright, so y has to be greater than 1, x has to be greater than 1, and x not equal to y. So you just pick up some values. Don't just think over there. Pick up a value which satisfy. Alright, I say x equals to 2 and y equals to 3. Right? Is that okay? Does that satisfy y greater than 1? Yes. Does that satisfy x greater than 1? Yes. And x not equal to y? Yes. Now what is this quantity? 2 by 3. And what is this quantity? 3 by 2. Now if you see that, which quantity is greater here? Quantity B is greater. That means for these set of values, quantity B is greater. That means A cannot be the answer and C cannot be the answer. Now I'm left with between B and D. Now if I think a little bit more, I can say x is equal to 3 and y is equal to 2. Right? So if I say x equals to 3 and y equals to 2, this becomes 3 by 2 and this becomes 2 by 3. Now what happens? A is greater than B. That means B is also not my answer and D is my answer. So what you should be doing is, if let's suppose you use one set of values and you get a greater than b, for other set of values you should be trying to get b greater than a or a equal to b, so that you end up at the answer D. Now not always you'll be ending up at answer D. So what you should be doing, then is the time for you to think algebra, right? Then is the time for you to think algebraically. Alright, let's see, let's do some questions. Now before coming to the questions, alright, let's see this question. Now 30 is greater than xy, which is greater than 5, and x and y are non-negative integers, which is greater, x plus y or x into y. So again, there are four options, A, B, C, D. Okay, now I have to just pick some values for x and pick some values for y. Now let me say, let's say x equals to 6 and y equals to 4, right? So x equals to 6 and y equals to 4, and xy is greater than 5 but less than 30. So in here x plus y is equal to 10 and x into y is equal to 24. Now which of the options are greater? B is greater than A. That means if B is greater than A cannot be my answer and C cannot be my answer. I am left between B and D. Now what I should be doing? I should be trying to look for A greater than B or A equal to B. For me, if I have to make sure that x plus y is greater than xy, I should pick up some small numbers. Now let's see what we can do here. Alright, what if I say x is equal to 6 and y is equal to 1? Now let's say x is equal to 3 and y is equal to 2. So if x is equal to 3 and y is equal to 2, what is the sum of these numbers? 5. And what is the product of these numbers? 6. Alright, still I got x greater than y, alright, a greater than b, alright, so I need to get b greater than a. Let me just pick up some another value and let's see. Alright, let's suppose if I pick up x equals to 2 and y equals to 2. Now if x is equal to 2 and y is equal to 2, what is 2 plus 2? 4. What is 2 into 2? 4. Alright, but it's not meeting my condition. It has to be greater than 5. Alright, it has to be greater than 5. That means that if I pick up another number, let's say x is equal to 10 and y is equal to 1. So if x is equal to 10, y is equal to 1, this becomes 10 plus 1, 11, and this becomes 10 into 1, 10. That means what? That means now I have proven that A is greater than B, B is gone, and hence D is my answer. So it's all about picking up the right values. You know, it will just take you like 1 minute to pick up these values. So I just picked up these values, and slowly you'll become smart enough so that you'll become right exact the same value. So I just did over here, I just did a thought process which a student might have. So I can very well come from this to directly here. It's just through practice that you can come. Okay, so x is equal to 6, y is equal to 4. Let me just take a quick recap what we did. I just picked up values. The values, it stated that the product of these two numbers has to be between 30 and 5. So I picked up x equal to 6 and y equal to 4. The product is between 30 and 5. So over here I got b greater than a. I just tried a couple of times and I got x equal to 10 and y equal to 1. The product to be 10, which is satisfying my condition, but the sum was greater than the product. That means I disproved this option. So all in all you have to do is just to look for D. Okay, just try looking for D and eventually you will get your answer. Now what all the values that you should be trying here? You know what, in the last question I tried like 4 or 5 values. What if you just try like 10 values and you don't get your answer? Then are you getting the right answer? So what I want is, before you give A or B as your answer, I would like you to try some values so that you make sure that you eliminate all the possible choices. Now understand that in GRE quantitative comparison, there won't be one single value which would be giving you a different answer. There would be a particular range of values. Alright, let me just give you all those ranges and all those different values which you should try before even you give A or B as your answer. So the first that I want you to try is all the positive numbers. Not all the positive numbers, any one of the positive numbers. So if you try positive numbers, they're gonna give you a different game altogether. And the next value is x equal to 1. If you can try 1, this should be your first preference, to try 1, because 1 gives you a different answer. Let's suppose which is greater, 4x or let's say 4y. So if you try x equal to 1 and y equal to 1, you'll get them to be same, right? So just make sure you try 1 and understand. Try to use the restrictions, okay? Don't just use one like anything. Just make sure that you have complied to all the restrictions in the question. Then x equals to 0. The value that you should be trying is 0. The 0 is the one which gives you, again, different game altogether. Then the values which are between 1 and 0. Now what are these values? Now these values are different from all these values. Why? Because the square of the number is smaller than the number. Over here the square of the number is greater than the number. The other set of values that I would like you to try is the numbers between 0 and -1. What's so special about that? Again, they give different entities and they give different expressions when applied. So over here x square is the greatest, okay? So yeah, different conditions for numbers apply here. Then the last set of values that I want you to try is -1, x less than -1. So you try all the negative values as well. You know what happens sometimes, positive numbers gives you a different answer and negative numbers give you a different answer. Let's suppose the question is which of the following is greatest, 4x or 5x. In positive numbers this would be greatest, and in negative numbers this would be greatest. So it all depends upon what numbers are you trying. So before you tried all these numbers in your number system, so make sure you try all these numbers before giving A or B as the answer. And you know what, most of the times once you're trying these numbers, your brain will give you the signal, oh, that's why I'm getting A greater than B, because of this. It will give you the algebra signals, because first, if you just look at the question using algebra in the beginning only, then the scope of your thinking has to be great, isn't it? Because the scope of the thinking is too huge. You see the question, you have to look at all the possibilities. But once you eliminated some of the options, then your scope is actually reduced and you actually think from here, okay? So getting the question algebraically, then it's much faster than starting the question with algebra right from the beginning. So try and eliminate all the possible options by putting these numbers, and then if you're getting A greater than B or B greater than A, then you can go about and think algebraically. Now let's solve some questions. I know there'll be so many questions coming into your mind because it's a new type of question which we haven't faced in our high school or in our college or anywhere. So what I want is, let me just go ahead and practice some of the questions with you so that you understand it. Alright, first, x is a positive integer, I know that. Then these are the 4 options that can happen. Now it's very important to write down these 4 options, because after each step you would be eliminating some options. Now which is greater? Now I say x is equal to 1. 1 is a positive integer. You said, as I said, try always 1 first if you can. So 1 by 1 is 1 and 1 by 1 is 1. That means A is equal to B. I have proven this. That means this is gone and this is gone. Now let me try some another set of values. Let me say x equals to 2. That means this is 2 and this is 1 by 2. Now I've got B greater than A. That means C is also gone and D is my answer. Simple, isn't it? You just gotta try some set of values and should not think like anything. You know what, when you think algebraically, there is some point that you miss. There is some values that you miss, for which this might be greater or for which this might be smaller. So if you've skipped this 1, that means that you will always think that, alright, this is gonna be the greater, because x is an integer. That's why, okay? Alright, let's move on to the next question. Okay, now this is actually a different kind of question. It's a geometry question, but the strategy remains the same, okay? Now it says ABCD is a parallelogram. Which is greater, x times AD or x times AD or AD into BC? So there's no x here, okay? Alright, now let's see that. Now you know that this is a 60 degrees. Alright, so if I say AD is equal to let's say 2, alright, and this over here, since it's 60 degrees, I can put in any number here, isn't it? I just have to put the numbers. So I'm putting AD is equal to 2. Alright, so if AD is equal to 2 and this is 60 degrees and this is 30 degrees, so using the 30, 60, 90 triangle, I can very well say that this is gonna be root 3 and this is gonna be 1. Right, this length is gonna be 1 and this length is gonna be root 3. So I've got x to be equal to root 3. Now since this is 2 and it's a parallelogram, so this is also 2 from here. Alright, great. And this over here is root 3 and this over here is 1. Okay, now since what is he asking? The first option is x is, which is what, root 3 times AD. Times AD is 2. And what is he asking here? AD times BC, which is this. So which is greater? Is 4 greater or it's 2 into 1.7 greater? Which is like so this is smaller than this. That means that there were these 4 options, and now you understand that. Now I have proven that B is greater than A. That means A is gone and C is gone. Now let me just try another. Let me just understand here what is happening. Now I know that this is 2 and this is 2. Let's suppose if I say this over here is it's 4. Okay, AD is equal to 4. That means then this becomes 2 root 3. That means that this also becomes 4. So x into AD, that means x is 2 root 3 times AD. It becomes what? AD becomes 4. And this becomes what? This becomes what? AD into BC, which is 4 times 4. Now again I've got this to be greater. Now think a little algebraically. Why? Because this value is always going to be greater than this value. So this into this will always be smaller than this into this. So hence I can say that yes, B is my answer. Okay, now if you can think that right in the beginning of the question, bingo, move, game on. But you know what, for you to just start the question and for you to not waste any time, you can just put in any numbers there and just go about the question. So I hope you understood. So what I did there, I just put in the value for AD. You should just never go with variables. They confuse you all the time. So never go with variables. Just put in numbers there. Understand that whatever happens for 2x, the same thing happens to whatever number you put in there. So it's easy to play with numbers than with variables, isn't it? So that's what you should be doing. You just put in numbers there and you always get a quantity A is less than quantity B. So that would give you the answer. Right, so let's see another question. So I hope you're now getting the hang of this. It's not a difficult set of questions. GRE math, it's very easy. It's actually very cute if you see as compared to GMAT or as compared to CAT. It's a very cute math. So you know what, you can very well get, anyone can get a 170 in GRE math. It's so easy to get. Yeah, you can get one odd question wrong, so you can get like 167. Getting below 165, it's not a good thing. So you should be getting above 165 in math. Okay, so let's see this question now. A is greater than B, which is greater than 0. Now they all are greater than 0. Now I have these 4 options. Now make sure that whatever these 4 options you have, you choose the options in a better way. Okay, so I'm gonna choose A to be 9 and B to be, I'm gonna choose A to be 16 and B to be 9, because I have to make sure that A is greater than B. Now A is 16 and B is 9. That means this becomes root of 16 plus 9. Now you see why I'm choosing 16 and 9, because they are Pythagorean triplets. Okay, that makes your life really easy. And this is root of 9. So this becomes 5 minus 4, and this becomes 3. So this becomes 1 and this becomes 3. That means that which is greater? Quantity B is greater than A. B is greater than A is gone and C is gone. Now I'm left between a war of A and D. Sorry, B and D. Let me pick up another set of values. Okay, alright. Let's say that now I have to make quantity A greater than quantity B. But let's suppose if I have to make a root of A plus B. Now let me just pick up another set of Pythagorean triplets so that my life is easy. Let's say that A over here it's equal to pick up any Pythagorean triplet. So let's say 13, 12 and 5. So A over here it's equal to 144, okay, and B over here is equal to 25. Okay, so what does this value become? Root of 144 plus 25 minus root of 144, right? And this becomes root of 25. Now this is what root of this is 13 minus 12, so that will become 1, and this will become 5. Now think a little algebraically here. Now this is root of A plus B minus root of A. Now this is root of B. So this value is always gonna be less than that value. Why? Because this is root of A plus B, something greater than B, something greater than root of A, however a little greater. Why? Because A over here is greater than B. That means that quantity B will always remain greater than quantity A. That means that this is gonna be my answer, right? So I hope you're understanding what I'm trying to do here. This becomes a very easy question. You just have to put in some values, and you know what, try 2 times, and whenever you get B greater than A or A greater than B, think a little, you know, then your thinking becomes very quick and very efficient and very to the point. Okay, so I hope you understood. I just put in some values there and made my life easy. All right, so let's see this set of values. Okay, so now X over here is greater than 1. I have to say which is greater. This is gonna be X here. Okay, all right, so I have 4 options: A, B, C and D. Now X over here is greater than 1. So let me say X equals to 3. So if X is equal to 3, this becomes 0 into something. This becomes 0 into X, whatever is that, 3. So both the values are 0. That means that I've proven C, A and B gone, isn't it? So easy to do the question. Now let's prove A greater than B. We can do that. Let's say X equals to 4. So this is what 4 minus 3 1 into 4 into 2 8 plus 1 9, and this is what 4 minus 3 1 into 4. Now which is greater? A is greater than B. That means I have disproven C, and again D is my answer. So you can very well see what I'm trying to do here, what are the options and what are the things. So over here I got A greater than B, another where I got A equal to B. So I just have to put in some good values in there and I'll get my answer, right? So you don't have to solve anything there. Just understand that in GRE you won't be solving this, you won't be extending this. Just understand that yeah, you can always think that alright, 2x plus 1 will always be greater than X, but you know what, for X equal to 3 they're gonna be equal, right? So that is the trap there. Don't think that if X is gonna be less than 2x plus 1, which means that this quantity will be greater than that quantity. Don't make that mistake there, right? Okay, let's see the set of values. Now it's saying X and A and B and C are positive integers. That means I can't use 0. So what are the options? These are the options. So let's see, let's put in some values for A, B and C, and let's see what we can get. So first you can put any set of values. Let's say A equals to 1, B equals to 1 and C equals to 1. So this becomes 3 and this becomes 1 by 3. So which is greater? B is greater than A. That means A is gone and C is gone. Now let me say A equals to 0.2, B is also 0.2 and C is also 0.2. So what is the sum here? 0.6. What is the sum here? 1 by 0.6. That is nothing but 10 by 6. Now which is greater? A is greater than B. So B is gone and D is my answer. So it's in the end, it's all about picking up the values. And how do you pick up the values? I've already told you those range of values. In the beginning I picked up all the values which were equal to 1, and in the bottom I picked up all the values which were between 0 and 1, because if I want to make sure that this is greater than this, I have to make sure that these values are fraction, and that's what I did, right? So again, over there, again, do the same thing, and life is gonna be so easy for you. Just pick up the right values and keep on disproving and try to reach D. That's what you should be doing there. Okay. All right. Now let's see this question. Now a and b are positive integers. Which is greater, root a plus b or root b plus root a? Now they are positive integers, so I can't try negative values there. So what are the 4 options do I have? These are the 4 options that I have. So again, whenever I see roots, I'm gonna pick up some Pythagorean triplets. So this is root 16 and this is 9. This is root of 25, which is 5, and this is root of 3 plus root of 16, that is 4, that is 7. Which is greater? B is greater. So A is gone and C is gone. Now let's try to pick up another set of values. Now since they are both positive integers, why not I give both to be 1? Now if I give both to be 1, this becomes root 1 plus 1, that is root 2, which is the Valentine's Day, 1.4 something. And what is this? Root of 1 plus root of 1, which is what? 2. Still B is greater than A. Right? So now what should I be doing? Now just think it a little over here. I can't try negative values. Now this value over here, when a number is actually square rooted altogether, would be lesser than this number. You are getting that. Why are you getting this greater than this? So yeah, so I can very well go and use B as my answer, or what I can do is I can square both sides, a plus b, and this becomes a square plus, I'm just squaring both sides actually. So I'm squaring both sides. So this becomes a square plus b square plus 2 root ab. Now you can see this is a plus b and this is a plus b plus 2 root ab. So this will always make it bigger. So I will always get b greater than d. But you know what? By using the values, you got the same thing, isn't it? You were left for nothing to try. You could have tried like 0.2 and 0.3. Still, you would have gotten the same answer: a, b greater than a. But for how many things you're gonna learn this? For how many points you're gonna learn this? You know what? Someone can come and he can say, all right, you know, I can do this question this way. But you would have to learn different step for each type of question. And how many types of questions are there? But this technique over here applies to almost every kind of question. So that's what I'm saying. We learn universal techniques rather than the techniques which apply to just one of the question. So this technique applies to almost every kind of question. So that's why your life is much easier. Okay, so I don't want you to forget algebra though. Alright, if you're perfect in algebra, then you don't need preparation at all. But if you're not perfect in algebra, you're gonna use numbers there so that your life is easy. Alright, let's see this question. Now standard deviation is something which is a little tricky concept. Standard deviation is actually test. Let's suppose these are the numbers. This is a set of numbers 4, 4, 4. Standard deviation actually checks how far the numbers are apart from each other. If the numbers are equal, standard deviation is 0. The more the numbers are apart from each other, the more the standard deviation increases. Now this question has two values. Quantity A is standard deviation of 4 integers which are between 0 and 7, standard deviation of 4 integers which are between 21 and 28. Now I can make the standard deviation equal. I can make all the numbers to be 4, so standard deviation will be 0, and I can make all the numbers to be 22, so standard deviation still be 0. Don't get intimidated by the different set of numbers. Standard deviation will only check how far the numbers are apart from each other rather than anything else. It just checks the relative how far they are from each other rather than how big the numbers are. So since standard deviation is 0 here and standard deviation is 0 here, A is gone and B is gone. Now there is no restriction for me to keep the numbers same. If I keep all the numbers 22 here and just increase one number by 223 and still keep all the numbers 4 here, possible? Possible. This is 0, this is 0 point something, that means C is gone and D is my answer. right? So you don't need to calculate standard deviation here. You just gotta substitute some values and check for the values. And over here I'm getting standard deviation to be 0. Over here as well I'm getting standard deviation to be 0. Over here it's 0, over here is 0 point something. So I got two different set of answers, one A equal to B, one B greater than A. That means D is my answer. So suppose you're understanding this this concept here, which is very crucial if you're planning to take your GRE test. Okay. Yeah, so let's see this value. So last question before we depart. So again, I would recommend you to solve this question on your own using this strategy. Now over here, x square minus y, and they are positive integers. Always take care of what is given at the top. X and y are positive integers. Can I take them to be 1 1? Yeah, I can. So make sure you start your question with a number which makes them equal, like a 0 or 1. Now I can't take 0 because they are positive. So it's 1 square minus 1, that is 0, and 1 square minus 1, that is 0. That means A is gone and B is gone. Now just pick up another set of value. Let's say x equals to 2 and y equals to 1. So this is 4 minus 1 and this is 4 minus 1 again. Alright, still I'm getting the same answer. Let's say x equals to 2 and y equals to 3. This becomes 4 minus 3 and this becomes 4 minus 9. That means A is greater than B here, C is gone, and D is my answer. So it's all about picking up the values, guys. In the end, it just fills in just picking up the values. So just pick up the values and try to look for D. Most of the times you will find D because there will be a set of value which will give you the answer. But you know what? If the A is the answer or B is the answer, you don't have to worry about that. Just substitute values 2 times. When you substitute the values two times, you understand the nature of the question. You understand why am I getting A greater than B or B greater than A, and you know what, your thinking pattern will change and you have a straightforward way to think and you get your answer. So this was about the video. So thank you very much for watching the video. This is my email address, and don't forget to send me your valuable feedback. I'm loving your feedback, guys. And since this is a non-profit project, so make sure you share it and you promote it, right? So you guys are my currency. So thank you very much, and I'm gonna see you in next video.